Hello, you've reached the Teams switchboard operator. You'd like to share your screen and audio? Okay, no problem. Here it is. You gotta make sure that this, which connects to your output of your system, is also the same thing that connects to the output of your Teams. So if you're using a headphone like this, then you gotta make sure this is connected to this. What? That's super frustrating if you ever wanted to share your screen with system audio, but you use a headphone for listening through Teams, and then maybe you use desktop speakers for other sounds like your music. Teams don't like that. So Wavelink from Elgato makes it super easy for you to share all of your system audio, configurable how you want it through Teams without ever even having to click that share button or worry about what it means when it tells you you gotta reconfigure your entire system audio. Let's take a look. Okay, so let's start out with the basics. What I've done is I've spun up a Teams meeting. I'm the only one here. I've got it muted, the camera off, because we're essentially using the mic and the camera through Camtasia, and that's fine. But it's going to keep telling me, hey, your mic is muted. We'll just ignore that. The important thing is, let me first identify my configuration. So I'm going to go to More, and I'm going to go to Audio Settings. Now, what I've got is for the speaker, I typically, when I'm on a Teams call, I'm using my headset. It just is a little cleaner. It makes sure that none of the noise pollution happens. If I'm using a mic like this right now that you see in the video where it's more of an XLR open room mic, it's going to pick up a lot more. If I snap across the room, you're going to hear it. But when I'm on a Teams call, I want a lot of that to be isolated, and I don't have the sound coming through my desktop speakers. I do have desktop speakers. Those are used right here, and I use them for music when I'm working in programming or whatever the case may be. But for calls, I want my Teams calls to come to me through my headset. So that's why I've got that set up right here. That's my speaker from a Teams perspective. Now for my microphone, I've got it set up to be Wavelink Stream. Now this is the channel, the audio channel that's going through Wavelink to bring all of my audio sources into one location. So my sound effects that I typically have. Now, again, I'm not going to go too deep into what stream means. I did a whole video on the overview of Wavelink. It describes what stream is, so I'll link that up above for you to watch if you'd like. But that acts as my microphone, right? So, for example, browsers in the audio that can come through browsers can go through Stream. My music software can go through Stream. PowerPoint videos can go through Stream. Essentially anything can go through Stream, and that's controlled by Wavelink. So the problem that happens is that I also have that speaker set up as my primary speaker right here. Let's see, let's go here. My primary speaker is set up right here, right? So again, when I'm playing my music, for example, that's coming through my desktop speaker. So effectively, from Teams perspective, the speaker within Teams is my headset. The speaker from within Windows is my gaming desktop speakers, right? Okay, so here's where the problem resides then. When I go to share, if I want to share a background, or excuse me, a window or a screen or whatever, here is that include sound. So if I'm sharing a video or a PowerPoint presentation that has video in it, I want to be able to control the ability to include sound. But when I click on that, notice what happens. It says couldn't share sound. Go to your device audio settings and select speakers, Logitech G560 game speaker, right? So, well, wait, what devices audio sets? My Teams device or my Windows? It's really confusing, right? So here's what happens is if I do go into, it's talking about essentially they need to be the same. Your Teams output and your Windows output needs to be the same. So if I go into audio settings here and I change my speaker to be my Logitech speakers, right? Like this, which now means that when everyone's talking to me through Teams, I'm hearing it through my desktop, which is not great if you have an open mic like I'm using right now, because sometimes there's that reverb and you hear echoes, and it's a bit of a mess. So now when I go to share though, and I click include sound, it works, right? No problem. The alternative would be that I could also come back in here and go back to Jabber Engage, which is my headset typically. As the speaker within Teams, I can come down and I can change my Windows output to be my headphones as well, right? So I'll come in here and I will find my Jabber Engage. So there is my Jabber Engage, the same one that's identified inside of Teams. Essentially what I'm doing then at this case is I'm just aligning them, right? So I'm making them the same. So now my Windows output, if I were listening to music, would come through my headset. And when I come up here and go to share, it works again. Okay, but nobody wants to do that. I don't have to do that every single time I want to share my audio. So that's where the stream comes in. I'm going to come back down to my Windows. I'm going to reset this. and I'm going to go back to my gaming speakers as my output for Windows, right? No problem. And I'm going to come back up into my audio settings for Teams, and these are back to normal. And again, if I try to share, well, I'm back to that error. I can't do it. Okay, so what is the fix? Well, quite honestly, the fix is simply using Wavelink as I already have it configured, right? So for example, within Teams, I have my microphone set up to be Wavelink Stream. Right. So what I've done here now is I've split the screen. I put the Teams call on the right and I put my Wavelink software on the left because you want to be able to see what's going to happen. So what I'm going to do then is I've got a YouTube video inside of a browser and I'm going to share that. So I'm going to come up to share and we see that right here. Right. So there's my video. Now, theoretically, I should usually need to click include sound to be able to include the sound. But because I'm using Wavelink, I don't have to do that because all of my audio is being routed through, whoops, let me close that, okay, being routed through as a microphone Wavelink stream. That means that over here in stream on the left side, that's all controlling the output. And that particular column right there, where I've got one set up for browser, and you can see it's got the Edge icon there. And when I hover over it, it says inactive, simply because Edge has not output any audio yet. Right? It has not output any audio yet. Once I click play on my browser for that YouTube video, this will start showing it. Now I've got it in the muted state, right? Again, this is going back to the Wavelink configuration, so go watch that video if this is unfamiliar, but essentially this little icon right here is what mutes the output to the microphone device, right? So in this case, I can mute it here from Teams even hearing it. That's why right now, Teams is hearing my Wavelink here, right? And it keeps telling me, hey, you're muted, because I'm muted up here in Teams right there, right? But you're hearing it because Camtasia is picking it up. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to share my screen right there, right? And you're not going to see it simply because it's on another monitor. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down and I'll go like this, right? And I will pull this down here. We've got Teams there and I've still got that there. So let me open that back up. Okay, there we go. So now what I've got is got Teams here. I've got my browser here. I've got my browser going through here. I am sharing this screen. This is the screen that I am sharing, right? And I'm going to, or the window I'm sharing, and I'm going to press play. And what's going to happen is you'll see that this is moving, right? The browser is moving and it's picking it up. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute. And what should happen is this over on the team side should start telling me essentially, in fact, I'll unmute that because that won't really matter. You see it moving when I'm talking, right? So you see the little mic up there, right there. It's showing audio activity. So when I play the browser, right? When I play the browser here, I'm going to stop talking through the mic, but you'll still see this moving because it's picking up the audio through the browser, right? So let's take a look.
Don't mind me. I just forgot to turn my audio on. All right, everybody. So what do we...
Okay, so what we saw was that when I was playing this, we saw the levels going on here, right, in the browser channel on stream, and we saw Teams was picking it up. And if you need to rewind the video and rewatch, right, because I'm saying nothing through the mic, but you're seeing the audio levels actually active here because it was picking up the audio through my browser, even though I never clicked include sound because I unmuted my output, right, which is my stream mix for the browser. Teams was picking it up. Now I could come back in here, I could mute this, right? So I'm muting my output of my browser and I'm going to do it again. And what you're going to see is I'm going to unmute my Teams mic. So now you're seeing audio activity. You're seeing it down here as well. And I'm going to come back to my browser and I'm going to play this again. And you're going to see the monitor mix go, but you're not going to see the actual levels happen right here. Why? Because quite simply, I have muted the stream output, which means that even though Teams is picking up my mic and picking up all of my stream, I'm saying, hey, mute the stream output of the browser. So I still control it, right? I can share my system audio and still mute all of this, which is super cool. Again, it's all about flexibility and configurability, right? That's the big take home here, is you're able to control all that. So let me come here, watch up here. I'm going to stop talking. You're going to see this kind of go dark, and then I'm going to press play. And before you saw the levels continue to move because it was actively seeing there was sound from my video in my browser. But now it should show nothing. So here we go.
What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about setting up Wavelink and connecting it with MS Teams.
Okay, so we saw it did nothing. Now you may have seen a little bit of movement. That was honestly because it was coming out of my monitor mix, which was my desktop speakers. So how do you fix that? Well, that's right here, right? This is the monitor mix. So if I don't want to even hear the browser coming out of my speakers, I'm going to mute both these. And so now what's going to happen is I'm going to play this again, and you're going to hear nothing. I'm going to hear nothing because it's not coming through my monitor mix. So I'm going to hit play, and we're going to see the levels on the mic icon go completely dark. Right? Okay. So again, you may notice it in the Wavelink side, because Wavelink still understands that, hey, the audio is still coming in to Wavelink. It's monitoring. But I'm essentially telling it, don't output it in stream, don't output it in my monitor, which is my speakers, right? So again, if this is confusing, remember, you just have configurability options. The whole power here is that I don't have to share my screen. When I share my screen, I should say, I don't have to share audio at all. Right? I can come in here, I can share the screen. I don't have to remember to click this. I don't have to worry about aligning the devices like I showed you. I can simply rely on the configuration of Wavelink to control all of it for me. I can hear it by my monitor mix. I can hear it via my stream mix, or I should say those who I'm screen sharing with can hear it using my stream mix. I can prevent them from hearing it. It's how when people come into the calls, I could be playing music here in my office and they won't hear it. Or hey, you know what? If I want to, hey, play some hold music while we're waiting for the call to start, I can do that, right? Because I'm playing it through my iTunes software. So super, super cool. And I never have to click include sound at all. So hey, hopefully you've enjoyed this tip. I think this is a super powerful way of being able to control sound without having to adjust all of your settings when you go to do that. If you liked it, please do smash that like and subscribe button. I love to get those subscribers up so that it helps me build more content. But other than that, thanks for sticking around with me. We'll see you in the next one.